Welcome to New Possibilities. I speak truth to power without fear. So today I was on Facebook and I saw an article from Media Matters. It pointed out how Bill O'Reilly did a program, and on his program, he was talking about violence in Chicago. He pointed out how there are 42 homicides in Chicago for this year. That's up 24% from last year. Also, he pointed out how there were 228 shootings this year so far, and that's up by 5.5%. And in response to this program, Donald Trump said that if Chicago doesn't fix this carnage, this horrible carnage, then he's going to send in the feds. It's important to bear in mind that Donald Trump ran on law and order. Donald Trump ran on racial profiling. Donald Trump ran on stop and frisk. So this threat of bringing in the feds is all a part of what he has been promoting all along. And it's important for people to understand that bringing in the feds, bringing in military troops into our neighborhoods is not going to solve the problem. In fact, what it's going to do is create a greater problem. It's going to create a situation where our communities are turned into military zones, where our civil liberties are trampled upon. A situation where black men and women are going to be stopped and frisked and harassed by these police. It is not a solution. There's a great potential for more violence at the hands of the military. I mean, we saw what happened in Ferguson. We saw how Ferguson looked when the police brought in military style equipment into our neighborhoods, treating our neighborhoods as if they were third world countries, treating them as if they were occupied territories, much like Iraq or Afghanistan. We shouldn't allow that to happen. That is not a solution to the problem. If you want to deal with violence, you have to deal with the conditions that create the violence. You have to deal with the poverty. You have to deal with the failing schools. You have to deal with the influx of drugs and guns into these communities. You have to deal with a culture that promotes violence, a culture that supports gang lifestyle. Those things have to be dealt with. If you don't deal with those things, the violence will continue once those troops leave, even if you assume that they're going to have some kind of impact on crime, which is questionable whether or not they will. All you're going to have is communities under siege. And some people are so filled with propaganda, so filled with fear, that they are so willing to just surrender their rights in order to be safe, in order to be what they think is safe. When in fact, you're less safe when your communities are occupied by military forces. The government is increasing its power. This is just another situation that reminds me of that book, 1984, about how Big Brother has control over the people. The last thing we need to do is give the government more power to control and dominate our lives. That's what I think. And in the hands, the military, in the hands of somebody like Donald Trump, who knows what could happen? How many innocent black people are going to be stopped by these military forces and harassed by these forces, searched by these forces? How many people are going to die at the hands of these police and military forces? That's not a solution to the problem. We need jobs in our communities. We need quality schools in our communities. We need quality health care in our communities. That's how you get rid of violence in the community. Not by bringing in weapons of violence, not by bringing in a military. We're not savages. that need to be ruled over by military forces. The people need to take control over their own community. The community is our responsibility. It's not the responsibility of the military. We need to hold our public elected officials accountable for their actions instead of re-electing somebody who has proven themselves to be a failure. The people should elect politicians that care about the issues that affect our communities, politicians that really have concrete and practical solutions to the problems facing our community. They need a better mayor in that city. They need a better police chief in that city. And it's just a shame that people are so willing to give away their rights, so willing to surrender their rights in the name of safety. Much like how people were willing to pass the Patriot Act, just surrendering all kinds of rights out of fear. When the people give up their rights out of fear, they are laying the groundwork for dictatorship. They are laying the groundwork for fascism.